It's amazing how everything will just fit together by chance, isn't it, on behalf of the big controllers at the top. And you know, all this X-rays that they're using now for these body scanners, now that they've set up the incident, and that's what it was a set-up incident to get them all sold out through the public. They had concerns about cancers and all the rest of it, but oh no, let's put that to the side now. It's too important. We've got to be able to see everybody in the bare scud, as you say, which is a total newt. This article here is from Technology Review from MIT, Friday, October the 30th, 2009. What they use when they bombard you are terahertz waves, they're called. Terahertz waves. And it says here, a new model of the way of the THZ, the terahertz waves, interact with DNA explains how the damage is done and why evidence has been so hard to gather. This is from a year, so they know this, and here they are going ahead with it anyway. Great things are expected of terahertz waves, the radiation that fills the slot in the electromagnetic spectrum between microwaves and the infrared. Terahertz waves pass through non-conducting materials such as clothes, paper, wood, and brick, and so cameras sensitive to them can peer inside envelopes into living rooms and frisk people at a distance. The way terahertz waves are absorbed and emitted can also be used to determine the chemical composition of a material. And even though they don't travel far inside the body, there's great hope that the waves can be used to spot tumours, that's the other medical side of it, near the surface of the skin. Mind you, they always promote something when they've got something on the go, again technique, right? If it can be used, it will be. With all that potential, it's no wonder that research on terahertz waves has exploded in the last 10 years or so. But what of the health effects of terahertz waves? At first glance, it's easy to dismiss any notion that they can be damaging. Terahertz photons are not energetic enough to break chemical bonds or ionize atoms or molecules, the chief reasons why higher energy photons such as X-rays and UV rays are so bad for us. But could there be another mechanism at work? The evidence that terahertz radiation damages biological systems is mixed. Some studies reported significant genetic damage, while others, although similar, showed none, says Boan Alexandrov at the Center for Non-Linear Studies at Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, and a few buddies. Now these guys think they know why. Alexandrov and co. have created a model to investigate how these fields, these THZ fields, interact with double-stranded DNA, and what they've found is remarkable. They say that although the forces generated are tiny, resonant effects allow THZ waves to unzip double-stranded DNA. They unzip your double-stranded DNA, creating bubbles in the double strand that could significantly interfere with processes such as gene expression and DNA replication. Which means, folks, you'll come down with cancers. Says that's a jaw-dropping conclusion. And it also explains why the evidence has been so hard to garner. Ordinary resonant effects are not powerful enough to do this kind of damage, but non-linear resonances can. These non-linear instabilities are much less likely to form, which explains why the character of THZ xenotoxic effects are probabilistic rather than deterministic, say the team. This should set the cat among the pigeons, meaning the scientific community. But we know, of course, it's not going to really, because they've gone ahead with it anyway, because of some guy's dirty underwear. So we're told. So we're told. Now, I keep telling people how the police forces have for years, as they built up these internal armies and dressed them with combat boots, still called police, mind you, gave them black ties, used to wear blue ties and light blue shirts in Canada when they were the thin blue line. Now they're the black executioners, and that's not by chance, because that black has always been the color of the king's executioner. They wear the black hood, black everything. Black symbolizes death. It's meant to make you afraid. And it was back in the late 90s, suddenly across Canada and the States, all cops started wearing combat boots, black outfits, black ties, black shirts, and everything, even black gloves and black sunglasses too, of course, just to look cool. Well, then he started calling the people civilians, not citizens anymore, you're a civilian, meaning they're obviously part of a military establishment, which they are. Things have changed so quickly, And I can remember when I first saw 4 of these cops walking down a little town in Ontario. I'd read it in the local paper that shortly people will see the local police trying out and familiarizing the people, the civilians, with their new outfits. And I did. I saw 4 of them walking down the street and chatting with each other and all that. And what surprised me is I stood and watched. None of the locals were looking at them like there was anything wrong. Then I realized I've seen so much of this on TV and all the fictional stuff they were showing us that the people they didn't notice the transfer. They did not notice the transfer. And that's where your mind goes, dee, 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 and you wonder where you are. Am I the only person that can still see? But no one else gave it a look. Anyway, they get a completely different indoctrination as police now. They're told to be scared and paranoid of the public, the civilians. And they also treat them like they do. See, the cops also watch all these shows on television. They've been raised watching these shows, and they really do believe they are the law. Like, they are the law. This article here is from the Los Angeles newspaper. I'll put this link up too. It says here, TSA agent, that's the guys on the airport, arrested at LAX. It says here, January the 7th, 2010. They are the first line of defense in airport security, but 2 troubling incidents involving TSA agents at LAX are raising concerns. A TSA agent was arrested on January the 3rd in Terminal 1 at LAX, a source told the NBCLA. He just gotten off duty and was behaving erratically, saying, "I am God, I am God. I am God, I am in charge, eat this sucker." I heard the last part. But he probably watches all those movies too. That's what he's telling them all. I am God, I am in charge, he says. Meanwhile, a TSA internal affairs investigation turned up evidence of the LAX TSA agents using drugs at an after-hours party. And all these guys, including the cops, now are on steroids. And uppers and downers. And anything they confiscate, by the way, they pop themselves. Well known. But what they disallow the public, they do to the extreme themselves, believe you me. So here's the TS agents using drugs at after-hours party, and then they're on the duty the next day and acting like Schwarzenegger in a movie, But that's exactly what they're doing, isn't it? TSA officials say a videotape of the party was of poor quality. Of course, suddenly, whenever you want to see something, is of poor quality, like Ben Laden. Is this really the fuzzy Ben Laden? It says, and employees were not in uniform, but 4 employees were tentatively identified. I guess they were the latest additions to the crew. They always go first. All 4 were tested for drugs. 1 came back positive, and the employee was fired. Then they released, of course, their PR, public relations spiel to try and convince the public that everything's okay, we're zero tolerance, and all that kind of stuff, you see, which is just PR, as I say, public relations. Public relations now, remember, it used to be called propaganda from Bernays, who was one of the masters at it, not the master, but one of the big masters. He was taught as well by the same people who taught the basic stuff to Freud. And Bernays, of course, was a nephew of Freud. But the new name really is public perception. You bring in management teams for public perception. Doesn't matter what reality is. Here's how to make the public perceive this reality that you want to give them. That's their job, to find how to get it across to the public, to give a different... Remember what Marshall McLuhan said? It's his perception. Perception is reality. However you perceive something becomes your reality. You think it is reality. Even though 90% of everything from the media, 95, maybe even 98% of what we get from the media and television and entertainment too, but mainly through the mainstream media, is really spun to leave you with a particular perception on different topics. It's just scientific socialism,